What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin Breeze here, and in this video we're going to be comparing the Umidigi F1 to the LG Stylo 4 Amazon Prime exclusive phone. So without further ado, let's get started. So at the time of recording this video, the Umidigi F1 is available for $219.99, and the LG Stylo 4 is available for $249.99. So the LG Stylo 4 is $30 more expensive than the Umidigi F1. Now both of these devices are factory unlocked, but the Umidigi F1 only works with GSM carriers, and the LG Stylo 4, at least this version of the LG Stylo 4, the Amazon Prime exclusive phone, works on GSM and CDMA carriers. So in the United States, the Umidigi F1 is going to work on AT&T and T-Mobile, and the LG Stylo 4 is going to work on T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint. Now, to my understanding, there's only one version of the Umidigi F1 out there, but for the LG Stylo 4, there's a bunch of carrier-specific versions of the phone, which are available at a variety of different price points. But again, this LG Stylo 4 that I'm showing off in this video is the Amazon Prime exclusive version of the device, and personally my favorite version of the LG Stylo 4. But to avoid any confusion or you accidentally buying the wrong version of either of these devices, I have included Amazon links in the video description. Now the Umidigi F1 features a 6.3-inch display, and the LG Stylo 4 features a 6.2-inch display. So technically, the display on the LG Stylo 4 is a little bit smaller than the display on the Umidigi F1. Now the Umidigi F1, as you can see here on the top, has a teardrop notch. And on the LG Stylo 4, there is no notch. So the LG Stylo 4 kind of has a more traditional smartphone form factor, whereas the Umidigi F1 has a more modern form factor. You can also see that the bezels are a lot smaller on the Umidigi F1. Now with that being said, on the LG Stylo 4, the bezels are still fairly small on the top and bottom, so I really think both devices feature a great design. Both devices also feature 1080p displays, and the PPI rating for the F1 is 409 versus 390 for the LG Stylo 4. The display ratio for the Umidigi F1 is 19.5 by 9, and the LG Stylo 4 has an 18 by 9 aspect ratio. So the display on the Umidigi F1 is slightly taller. Now up top here, both devices have front-facing cameras, but on the Umidigi F1, we have a 16 megapixel front-facing camera versus a 5 megapixel front-facing camera on the LG Stylo 4. So definitely a much better front-facing camera on the F1. Internally, the Umidigi F1 has 128 gigabytes of internal storage, with the ability to expand that storage with a microSD card. And the storage on the LG Stylo 4 is still decent, but dramatically smaller at 32 gigabytes. Now you still do have that ability to expand the storage with a microSD card, but it's pretty dramatic how much more internal storage there is with the Umidigi F1. Now neither of these two devices feature wireless charging, and on the backside of both of these devices, we do have fingerprint sensors for unlocking them. The Umidigi F1 features a dual camera setup with a 16 megapixel main camera and an 8 megapixel secondary camera. And on the LG Stylo 4, we just have a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera. The Umidigi F1 features 4 gigabytes of RAM, and the LG Stylo 4 features 3 gigabytes of RAM. The Umidigi F1 features a MediaTek Helio P60 processor, and the LG Stylo 4 has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 450 processor. Video recording on both devices maxes out at 1080p at 30 frames per second. The Umidigi F1 features a 5,150 mAh internal battery, which is massive, and the LG Stylo 4 has a smaller battery, which comes in at 3,300 mAh. Now, both of those battery capacities are impressive for these two devices, so I wouldn't really be concerned about that with either of them, but you're definitely going to get better battery life with the Umidigi F1. As far as software goes, the Umidigi F1 runs Android 9 Pie out of the box, and the LG Stylo 4 runs the slightly older version of Android, the previous version, which is Android 8.1 Oreo. Now that we've gone over the specifications of these two devices, let's take a closer look at the hardware. So like I mentioned before, on the Umidigi F1 we get a 6.3-inch 1080p display, and on the LG Stylo 4 we get a 6.2-inch 1080p display. Now both displays on these two devices really do look nice. They both have great colors, and the screen resolutions on both of these devices are super sharp. So you're not going to have an issue with the displays on either of these two devices. I know you'll be happy with either of them in that department. Both devices feature on-screen navigation buttons. And then again, on the top, we have the teardrop notch with the Umidigi F1, and on the LG Stylo 4, we have the notchless design that has been seen for many years in the past. I don't necessarily have a preference for either of these two designs, but I do think Umidigi did a great job at really making the notch tiny and unintrusive. Now, taking a look at the left side of these two devices, on the Umidigi F1, we have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card, and on the LG Stylo 4, we have that same slot, and we have the volume rockers. I also want to mention that on the LG Stylo 4 we have kind of this metal band going around the device, but on the Umidigi F1 it's just plastic. On the right side of the Umidigi F1 we have the volume rockers and power button, and on the LG Stylo 4 we just have the power button. On the top side of these two devices we just have the noise cancelling microphone. And on the bottom of these two devices, on the Umidigi F1, we have the speaker, we have the USB Type-C port, we have the microphone, and we have the 3.5mm headphone jack. And on the LG Stylo 4, we have the stylus, which is something that is not found on the Umidigi F1. We have the speaker, we have the USB Type-C port, we have the microphone, and we have the 3.5mm headphone jack. And on the backside, both devices have the fingerprint sensor and the camera modules and flash, and we have branding for both companies behind these devices on the bottom. The materials are definitely a little different. On the Umidigi F1, we kind of have this matte plastic finish, and the quality of the plastic actually feels pretty good to the touch. And on the LG Stylo 4, we also have a plastic back, but it is glossy with kind of a nice texture to it. Now I noticed on the LG Stylo 4, this material actually absorbs quite a bit of grease, which is interesting because my hands are never greasy. And it also kind of picks up quite a few scratches. Now I have had the LG Stylo 4 for about 5 months versus the Umidigi F1 that I haven't had for too long. So I'm not sure if after a while the Umidigi F1 would get as many scratches as the LG Stylo 4 would on the back. But regardless, I really recommend that you pick up cases for both of these devices because that's going to be the best way to avoid any sort of damages such as scratches. Thankfully, both devices feature a pretty unmodified version of Android, so it's pretty close to stock. Now, since this version of the LG Stylo 4 is the Amazon Prime exclusive phone, you are going to get a lot of Amazon software preloaded. So if you're a big fan of Amazon and you use their different services quite a bit, then this won't be a problem for you. But you're going to get different applications preloaded, such as Prime Video, of course the main Amazon app. You're going to get Kindle, Music, and Amazon Drive, Audible, Alexa, Prime Now, and all that good stuff. Of course, you can easily uninstall all of those applications if you wish to. And on the Umidigi F1, it's pretty much just the stock Google applications. So now that we've gone over the specifications and hardware of these two devices, let's now do an unscientific speed test to see which of the two is faster at everyday tasks. So we're going to start this test by removing everything that's running in the background. Let's now start Google Chrome. 1, 2, 3, go. And it looks like the F1 was the first device to show content here from Google Chrome. Now I do want to mention that both devices are set here to maximum brightness, and the LG Stylo 4 is a lot brighter than the Umidigi F1. That's kind of one of the downsides that I've noticed with the F1 is that it doesn't have the brightest display. Now continuing this test here, let's now go to yahoo.com. So 1, 2, 3, go. And the F1 is faster in this test as well. And let's now go to engadget.com. So 1, 2, 3, go. The F1 is faster starting up Engadget as well. Let's now go to this article. 1, 2, 3, go. The Umidigi F1 is faster here too. Let's now start up the camera. 1, 2, 3, go. And it looks like it was about the same with starting up the camera. Alright, so in this test, we compared the specifications of these two devices, the hardware, and we did a head-to-head seeing which of these two devices is faster at doing day-to-day activities, is faster at doing day-to-day functions. Now, if there's anything else that you'd like me to cover with either of these two devices, or if there's more things you want me to compare in the future, definitely let me know down in the comment section below. But in conclusion, I do think that the Umidigi F1 outperformed the LG Stylo 4 in pretty much all ways. I do prefer the build quality just slightly on the LG Stylo 4 because I like how there's kind of this metal band around the sides. But on the other hand, I think the Umidigi F1 has a slightly more modern design with that teardrop notch on the top, and the fact that the overall body of the F1 is slightly smaller despite it having a larger display. The cameras on the Umidigi F1 are also a lot better for both the front and rear than the LG Stylo 4. We get a much larger battery with the Umidigi F1, and the Umidigi F1 is $30 cheaper. The benefits though with the LG Stylo 4 Amazon Prime exclusive phone is that this device works on Sprint and Verizon, while the Umidigi F1 does not work on either of those two carriers. So if it's important that you have access to Sprint and Verizon, then you might want to go with the LG Stylo 4. And finally, having the stylus on the LG Stylo 4 is a really awesome feature to have. I wish more phones, especially in the budget range, did have this stylus, as I truly do find it to be useful, and I don't think it's a gimmick at all. So there is no stylus on the Umidigi F1, so if you think having that stylus is something that you'll be using personally, then you might want to consider getting the LG Stylo 4 over the Umidigi F1. But what's most important is that I think both of these devices are great options. I've kind of spelled out the pros and cons of each of them, but I know for a fact that both of these devices are hot sellers. And while the Umidigi F1 is still pretty new to the market, and we don't know how well it will sell long term, the LG Stylo 4 has been around for quite a while and continues to outshine many of its competitors. But again, I hope you enjoyed this comparison between the Umidigi F1 and the LG Stylo 4 Amazon Prime exclusive phone. If you'd like to buy either of these two devices, I definitely recommend buying them through my affiliate links in the video description, as that's a great way to support the channel at no extra cost to yourself. But thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Make sure to sub to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and have a great day. Bye.